Hi, this is Bonin Bough. This is Let's Talk About It. I'm here with Richard Smullen, who is one of my favorite people, also a man with a lovely accent, but more importantly is the CEO of a company called Pipestream, which I believe is revolutionizing customer service and brand-to-customer interactions on the messaging platforms and in the messaging space. Today I'm here with Richard Smullen, who is an amazing gentleman and has a beautiful accent as well, but also is the CEO of a company called Pipestream, which I firmly believe is going to revolutionize customer service as we know it, as well as all interactions between brands and customers. And so with that, welcome Richard, and let's talk about it.
Thanks, Bonin. Great to be here, man.
No problem. I know your story. Why don't you just kind of tell the audience a little bit about kind of your background, who you are, and then we'll go into Pipestream.
You got it. So you mentioned the accent. I'm South African. I live in New York, moved here 7.5 years ago, and came here with my my American dream ambitions. Been in technology my whole life, and came here to start an internet advertising business. That's originally where we met. 18 months ago or so, I found myself in a situation like most of us do, that I was on hold waiting for an airline to respond to me. It was a pretty timely need that I had, and eventually started messaging my sister through WhatsApp. She lives here in New Jersey, and asked if she can just sit there and phone the airline and be on hold or go on the website, just do something to sort my issue out. And through that messaging exchange with her, realized that it would be a far better solution if I could just message the airline directly, right? Here I am using a very fluid, very easy interaction mechanism, which is messaging, but with my sister to get to a business. Why couldn't I do that directly with a business? So set out to build an app that looks like WhatsApp, it feels like WhatsApp, but instead of going into a contacts list and finding people, I'd go into a catalog or a directory, find businesses, brands, any organizations that I'd otherwise have phoned or emailed or used an app for. I've got, 100 apps on my phone. And in doing that, message these businesses instead of phoning them. Never sit on hold again, never get transferred to other people again, and start having that interaction where every function I could have done on the phone, I'm doing now inside a message. It becomes conversational, it becomes transactional, it's private, secure, and really just moves in the cadence of my life versus me, the cadence of the business's life, which is be on hold till we can help you. And all of this technology is now coming together at a time when businesses want to fix up the way they talk to customers. And we're at the epicenter, so you're identifying this as a trend and where it's all going to happen. We believe it, whether it's Pipestream or not, time will tell, we certainly hope it is. But messaging, bots, this is the omni-channel of the future.
So I love what you just talked about is the cadence of your life. And I think that that's what's interesting, is that messaging is how I want to live my life. I never even thought about it that I now have to interact with the business the way the business wants to interact. It has nothing to do with me. So when you talk to customers that are using the platform to interact with businesses, are they happier about that interaction?
They are. Here's an interesting stat. There will be 8.2 trillion messages sent socially next year. Call it 9 trillion, 8, 10. The numbers are staggering. Yet every single one of those interactions could be done with a voice call. Could be an audible experience. Yet people are choosing to message. So what the consumers have shown is when they're given the option to phone or message, the most important people in their lives, their friends and family, they're choosing messaging. So when you're giving customers something that they've chosen as a mechanism to use in another aspect of their life that's very important, you assume that that's what they're going to select too. So we're not trying to change behavior, we're not giving them a whole new learning curve. We're saying you're already using this over calls, now you can use it in business. 10
trillion messages, that's kind of insanity.
By the way, don't quote me.
I want to go back, because when I talk about you to people, I love you and I love the platform. And what I love about it is that it's beyond just the simplicity of customer service, but it's integration of commerce, it's me actually understanding the customer on a deeper level, me being able to go back out to them. So I always tell the example of Time Warner, for example, or a cable company, where the number one asked question is, how do I reboot my modem? And instead of waiting on the phone for 15 minutes and then have to find my 16-digit number, I can just say, hey, how do I reboot my modem? They tell me that, and then they tell me, oh, by the way, we noticed you don't have Showtime, text back yes, and we'll add it for $3. Oh, you don't have paperless billing, blah, blah. And that whole commerce cycle from customer service to commerce is huge. So are your clients thinking about how to take customers on a journey beyond just the, oh, how do I do X, Y, and Z, and then move them across a commerce funnel?
The utopia in the business world is what we believe to be an omni-channel and a single view of the customer. So the whole idea is, if you're a business and you have a customer, you have all these different channels to interact with the customer. They phone you for support, they email you for a request, they use your app for a purchase, they receive physical mail, snail mail for a statement review. Every one of those channels have management systems behind them and have really large costs. Those are cost centers. The dream, or this utopia for a business, is when all of that can be compressed or consolidated into one channel and become an omni-channel. The beauty about messaging as a platform, which our product is it's really just a connection to a consumer, and on top of that you can layer anything that you want the consumer to do for you. So what we're seeing is call centers are the lowest hanging fruit. They're very, very heavily costed, they have a lot of infrastructure, and they represent a major part of the OPEX, operating expenditure. Those costs can get reduced because agents can answer a lot more queries with messaging, which you can. It's 15 to 1, one call,
wow,
15 concurrent messages. It's off the charts, the efficiency. And then when you start replacing agents or tedious, repetitive tasks with robots or chatbots, then you start really, really reducing the cost, right? So when we start in an organization there, we have that connection. Now what happens is, the marketing folks say, wait a minute, you've just been connected to our customer and had this conversation with them, asynchronous, they said something, you said something back. That's communication. That's what we always want. Why didn't we just drop on top of that an offer? Because I just emailed the guy and guess what? I know it's in his spam. But I know he wants that offer because I think he just spoke to you about that channel or Game of Thrones and he doesn't have HBO. So we should have leveraged that. Now what's happening is they're saying, can you plug our campaign management and promotion software or CRM software into the back of the messaging platform? And now it becomes bi-directional. Instead of responding to a message coming in, how do I change my channels? How do I reset my modem? You can be proactive with a message and say, oh, by the way, you meet these criteria, this demographic, here's a promotion for you. Messaging as a platform supports, in Pipestream's case, we support video, we support editorial, we support other forms of rich media, interactivity. So now I let the guys that are buying media on TV push down a video for Cleveland Hustle that you should tune in next week. And that's all part of this. You like that little plug?
I do like the plug of Cleveland Hustle. Good. No, it's all part of a huge ecosystem potential.
Massive ecosystem.
So, we've talked a lot about this, and I am not the biggest fan of creating apps, given all the messaging platforms that exist, but you guys are an app. Why? You've told me.
Yeah, it's a good question. And just to kind of correct you there, we started off as an app. And we had these big ambitions to have the whole world download our app to connect with every business. And by the way, when there are enough businesses on Pipestream, hopefully you'll download the app because they'll all be there in a directory instead of having 100 of the business's apps and Pipestream connected in, which by the way is the other way we connect to consumers now. So we have an SDK. And that SDK is used by all the app developers, Android, iOS, and whatever else is out there, Windows, mobile web. And you can actually have the conversation and connect to the business inside their app. You don't need to download another app anymore. But here you have 20, 30 businesses you're communicating with through messaging, through the Pipestream infrastructure. Instead of having 30 apps in a couple of years, just have one app with the 30 businesses inside. It's analogous to, you don't have a WhatsApp for in your case, your 52,000 best friends. You have one WhatsApp with everyone listed inside, right?
Yeah. But that's where I was going is why can't you do it in WhatsApp? And you kind of shared with me kind of the challenges for financial solutions, like in terms of like, why can't you do it in Facebook Messenger?
You can. So that SDK allows you to plug into those social chat apps too. However, data, which is a word, and privacy, on the kind of tip of everyone's tongue constantly, is really at the center of a lot of compliance and regulation that we're seeing out there. And a lot of businesses that are regulated, that are very, very kind of stringent in their approach to users' data, where it sits. Is it inside an open network in the cloud? Is it on-premise inside a DMZ, which is a demilitarized zone, inside the firewall? Those types of requirements mean that all that information and data can't be on platforms that deal with advertising and don't really have strong authentication. So hypothetically, I can sign up right now onto WhatsApp as Bonin Bough and try be you talking to a business, and until they figure out I'm not you, it's identity theft, right?
I just got a message for myself the other day, but it was from Bonin Bough versus brands or a Facebook message. I was like, wow, that's weird. I'm just talking to myself now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, there you go. So that is the challenge that exists with platforms that need to get to scale to sell media dollars, right? And then there's this idea that the data on the platform can be made available outside of the messaging ecosystem for retargeting. So there was a lot of talk, and New York Post had a kind of good expose on it, where they spoke about WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger having consumers accept that their data can now be shared outside of WhatsApp with Facebook, so you can be advertised against. So now WhatsApp knows I'm talking to Time Warner Cable, and I log on to Facebook to talk to my friends, and there's
Comcast.
a direct TV or Comcast ad. Now, that's cool, that's great for Facebook.
Great for Comcast.
But I'm not sure Time Warner want to know that they trusted a platform for transaction and a kind of average growth lifetime value of a person, and now that's opened up the chance that there'll be churn. So, these are some of the issues that exist. So we believe bifurcation of business and pleasure is crucial. You cannot talk to other people on the Pipestream platform within the app. You can only talk to businesses, and they can talk to you.
It's not all automation. So there is human behind there. So what I want to know is, you don't have to tell me how many, but how do you train? How do you think about the human agents? Is it the company's human agents, or the human agents that work for you?
What happens is, if a company was just doing customer care around basic tasks through the phone, the agents can do it through the Pipestream terminal, which plugs into their current backend terminals, onto Zendesk, onto, as I said, Avaya and Salesforce and these kinds of things. Now, there comes a point in time where that human is answering the question over and over again to different people. And instead of having him do repetitive task resolution, a robot can be trained to do that for him, so that anything that the robot can't fix can then route to the human. So the idea is that bots get trained to handle repetitive tasks, which, by the way, are 80% of inbound queries at all call centers, at least in the industries we deal with, which is insurance, financial services, airlines, utilities, cable and mobile network operators, MNOs. 80% of the queries are always the same. So you don't need humans to do those. And what the humans are really doing is just reading a script. Well, we can make a bot read that script. Save the humans for much higher touch point, empathy requiring kind of tasks, which, contrary to what you're going to hear out there, can never be replicated. Not never. Right now, can't be replicated by machines. The empathy, I'm sorry to hear that, sir, you're in an accident. Oh, that's terrible. Is everyone okay? Have some sugar water for the shock. A bot may get there, but in those types of environments where
you have to sense,
that got noticed that you had a car accident, you still want humans there, and you can save the humans for that, so that there's no more hold times. So it's an efficiency play, and bots are really just not that complicated to complete a lot of those tasks. Sure, the guy can write in there, but how do I do this? Which may not be a question that the bot's used to. That can go into the machine learning system, watch a human answer it, and then next time have trained the bot how to do it. And we have those pass-throughs and those routing technologies.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to raise private capital or VC funding? Or there are two different ways to approach it. Private capital, raising private, vastly different than VC.
So ironically, we're actually not VC backed at all. And we've raised a substantial amount of capital. So I can really speak to the private capital markets. Firstly, if you can get private capital, you should, as long as it's done from individuals who understand the risks, and you don't want to ruin the relationship with family, with friends, and they need to know. Once you've kind of established that relationship, the key is to prove that you have something valuable. So raise just enough to prototype and to get some traction. Clearly define what the traction is and go for it. Don't get distracted. Don't see every shiny object out there, an opportunity, and go for it. Stay focused on what you immediately thought was the proof point. Once you've achieved it, you'll probably find that those same investors will invest more. And that's been one of the great advantages of our investor group, is they've continued to follow us through from the beginning 18 months ago. One specific investor has, written a check or 6 checks and would continue to. He's just loving the growth that we're showing, the progression. So I would say keep it simple initially, set a goal, achieve that goal, and then go back to the private markets. And don't raise too much at the beginning, because you want to stay motivated with a lot of equity, and keep it simple. You get these cap tables where people have dished out shares and options all over the place. It comes back to bite down the line, because you just got so many people that you have to deal with and that you feel responsible for.
What is there anything that you wish you knew? Maybe we go back to your first business.
I wish I knew you.
Oh, well, you do now.
I do now. There's a lot. I would say the most valuable lesson has been just intimate knowledge of the market and knowing whether the market really wants what you've got, or if what you have has the potential to change a market or change behavior. That would be one of the many lessons. If we have a follow-up, there's a lot more. Hiring really tremendous people. I sit around our leadership table and I'm the least smart person at the table, and in some respects the least experienced. And it's a treat for me. I listen, I learn, and see that had these people not been here, we would be needing to learn what's going on, where I have individuals who've already done it all, and we're already in phase 2 of the conversation, and that's the power of having really great people. So those would be my 2 immediate takeaways.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you, sir. So this is Let's Talk About It. Bonin Bough, Richard Smullen. Thank you for the time, and as always, hit me up and let's talk about it.